By now, I think all of us on the left have experienced a right-wing projection. Those on the right love to project whatever is wrong with them, whatever they see in themselves they don't like, or they think others won't like, onto others. For example, Donald Trump can't stay awake in meetings. So why did he start calling President Joe Biden Sleepy Joe? Because he was projecting himself onto the president. We know that Donald Trump is throughout the Epstein files, having done some heinous things to little children. And so what does the right do to try to cover up? They project that onto us on the left. They accuse us of having a special type of human trafficking of children through a pizza parlor. They accuse us of being pedos. But why? Because that's what they are, or some of the people in there. I would like to think it not possible. But on one of these lives, one of these individuals that has a pretty large following, he got a call from one of these right-wingers. Now they're no longer denying that Donald Trump did these awful things to children. Now they're trying to justify and rationalize it. And I said many times, if you have to rationalize and justify something, that's your soul arguing with God because you know you're wrong. Anyway, he was saying, what is wrong with raping a child? And the host of the live was flabbergasted. How could anyone even ask such a question? It's beyond imagination that anyone even asked such a thing. Let me tell you something. My grandparents and parents were foster parents, and we had taken foster kids. I remember one case, it was a little girl still in diapers. And the caseworker told mom, you're probably going to be shocked when you change her diapers. Because the boyfriend of the mother of this little girl had been putting his cigarettes out on her private parts. Yes. And there were scars, evidently, all over there from those hot cigarette butts being put out there. How anybody could do such a thing. Another little girl, I think she was 7. And she wasn't raped. She was seduced by an uncle. And the reason we found out was she made some comment, something didn't seem right, and they took her to the doctor and she had gonorrhea. And that's how they found out. 7-year-old child. How? Why is that wrong? My God, man. If you have to ask that, if you're trying to rationalize and justify Donald Trump, you either are doing the same thing or wish you could. And there's no justification for it. God has a special place in hell for such people. But my message to a lot of you is, when they accuse you of these things, know this. They're telling you something about themselves. When a character accuses you of being gay, he just told you his deepest fear. Because some of these guys are so unlucky, they have never been able to get a girlfriend. And the only way they could get a woman to go to bed was with a little cash. And they probably failed at that. And so this lack of success has them scared. They're afraid that maybe they might be gay, and it terrifies them. Now, if they were a rational, secure person, they would know, feeling a little uneasy, the idea of one man with another man is pretty clear as I'm, you're not gay. I've had gay friends who've told me that, well, just like when I was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, I had girlfriends, and I was attracted to the girls. I liked being with the girls. They said just the opposite. They were attracted to the boys, and were friends with the boys, and that's who they wanted to be with. And so it pretty much, I don't understand how it is, but it's in the making. And if you're wanting to be with girls and not attracted to guys, you're not gay. You're not likely to be gay. But they're frightened, scared to death. They might be turned. And they're afraid. And some have been a little successful, but not very successful with women. And they've learned a secret that if they just push a little bit, then stop. And the girl says no, they stop. But pretending respect. And then the next time they try to go a little farther. And when she said no, you stop there. And each time they figure they get a little bit further, to finally they get her into bed. And they're terrified that some gay guy will work them the same way they worked some girl years ago. And they're afraid that they will get in. What they don't realize is that young lady was straight too, and she was interested, but she was hesitant to go all the way. She wasn't sure about it or about you. And so it wasn't like she was turning anything. She just eventually gave in because to what she wanted. If you don't want to be with the other guy, the guys like that, it's not going to happen. But they're terrified of it. And so they'll accuse you of being gay. And they just told you that they are terrified of being gay. They accuse you of not being able to get a date with any women. What they just told you is they can't get dates with any women. Each time they accuse you of something, they've just given you a confession of who they are and what they are on the inside. Now, I'm not suggesting to take this and use this against them, because they're pretty sad individuals to be terrified that way. Sometimes it's just better to say, you really need to stop being afraid that you might be gay, because if you are that terrified, you're probably not. You just got to learn to be respectful for women and learn how to be tolerant and respectful and treat them as equals. And then eventually you'll probably get a girlfriend and things will work out. But you have to do some growing up. Unfortunately, some men who hit 50, 60 have never matured past being 13 years old. And some of you who are 13, you won't ever mature unless you take a step forward to grow up. But when you hear these characters accusing you of something, know this. They just told you something about themselves. There's some guy who used something ridiculous. Some guy comes on and accuses you of wetting your bed. Why did he just tell you about himself? You got it. He's a bedwetter. So remember this next time one of these clowns accuses you of any heinous thing. And let's stop giving Donald Trump and any other person cover. And like I've said many times, I don't care if one of the people in the Epstein files is a Democrat that I used to just adore. He did that. I want nothing to do with him. Look, in the primaries of 2008, where we had 3 candidates, we had Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and John Edwards. I got to tell you, I like John Edwards. I like his message. And in the primary, I voted for him. And I can't tell you how happy I am that he did not win that primary. Because when it came out that he was having an affair while his wife was dying of cancer, I want nothing more to do with that man. I would vote for him for anything today because of that one fact. You take an oath. You agree to be with that other person in sickness and in health until death separates you. Yes, that means maybe you have to go without a need being satisfied. And maybe you go to bed really having desires that can't be fulfilled. Well, suck it up. Your partner's dying. You're supposed to be there to comfort and help them, not be out chasing somebody else. So today I want nothing to do with Edwards. And when all I knew of Bill Clinton was that he lied to me and said, I did not have that type of relationship with that woman on camera. And then he had to admit he had, and he lied. That was enough for me to say I want nothing to do with him. And if he is in those files like we suspect, I want him to have the full weight of the law crash down on him. I want never to see his face again. I don't want to ever see him at any Democratic convention. I don't want anything about him. I would hope Hillary would divorce him, and his daughter would have nothing more to do with him, because that's the way it goes. I have more morals than a lot of you on the right, because you don't care what Donald Trump has done. There's something wrong with you if that's your attitude. Anyway, my friends, thank you for listening. And remember, when they accuse you, they've just told you a secret about themselves. Have a good day.